There has been warned that plans to ban future oil and gas licences is a threat to Scottish jobs. Sir Keir Starmer was addressing the GMB union's conference. He was told by a member that communities could be decimated by the plans. Stephen Brown is in the newsroom. Stephen, these proposals by Labour have gained a lot of attention.
Yes, and from all sides of the debate, it has to be said, because over the weekend it was reported that Labour planned to ban any future oil and gas licences in the North Sea. Now today, Sir Keir Starmer didn't deny that would be the policy if Labour was to gain power. He did, however, say he understands oil and gas will be needed for decades, in fact until 2050, he said, but those plans to stop any further licences was met with a backlash from unions, including the GMB union, who he was speaking to today. He was warned by one delegate that it could threaten Scottish jobs, but the Labour leader said he wanted to create a supply chain and green jobs, including 50,000 in Scotland, he said, and he wanted to support jobs to move from fossil fuels. Now, obviously, climate campaigners have welcomed the plans to ban further oil licences, but the industry has made it quite clear that it could threaten jobs and investment, in its opinion, and in the years to come. And today the industry body OUK has invited the Labour leader to meet the industry to discuss his plans.
Stephen, many thanks. Well, as Scotland moves towards the aim of reaching net zero by 2045, industry experts say we're well placed with an abundant supply of renewable energy. But in order to meet the target, investments and long-term strategies will be required. All this week, we've been taking a closer look at energy transition and the challenges. Tonight, Hayley Balma looks at the greener power sources which could replace fossil fuels.
Scotland is rich in renewable resource. We have high wind, we have good tidal and ocean resources, and that renewable resources is a key source for the UK.
The UK government wants to decarbonise our energy grid by 2035, bringing more energy from renewable sources into our homes and businesses. As we move away from fossil fuels, our electricity use is set to double by 2050.
The unprecedented scale of the build-out that we're going to have to undertake for the energy transition. People are using more and more energy now than we ever have, and we need to be able to deliver that in a way that's sustainable and affordable for everyone.
But in order to get this cleaner energy into our homes, our infrastructure needs to be upgraded, and quickly.
We anticipate investing around £10 billion to 2030, and that will roughly treble the amount of renewable generation connected to our network.
This power substation in Alyth is one of 16 being built by SSEN Transmission to cope with the demand.
One of the challenges we've got is that renewable power tends to be located quite far from the source of demand. So our job is firstly to connect that renewable generation, and secondly to transport it to those sources of demand. We have to think about the terrain, proximity to businesses and people.
Over the next 7 years, the amount of power coming from offshore wind farms is set to dramatically increase from 1 gigawatt to 11. That will provide roughly enough power for around 12 million homes. And whilst this goes a long way to meet our renewable goals, experts warn that still more must be done in order to meet our targets.
In terms of planning, unfortunately, it takes a long time to get such a wind farm up and running. Unfortunately for wind, it's not a constant source of energy.
But despite these limitations, wind power does have its advantages. These 80-metre-long blades provide enough energy to power a home for a day each time it turns.
We need to provide more electricity for heating our homes, therefore we need offshore wind.
We can also harness the power of our seas. This tidal buoy in Orkney is the size of a jumbo jet. Turbines underneath the water generate power as the water streams past its blades. Figures suggest that tidal power could meet around 10% of our country's energy needs. But they can't be used everywhere. But the bonus, tides never stop.
On an annual basis, it's sufficient to meet the demands of over 2,000 UK homes. Because it's driven by gravity and the lunar effects, we can predict this, and it is predictable and dependable. I can tell you how much power a turbine will generate tomorrow. I can tell you how much it will generate between now and 3 months' time.
Hydrogen can also be used as an alternative fuel source. Experts say it's particularly well suited to the transport and manufacturing industries.
Hydrogen as an element, as a chemical, is really the most abundant element in the universe. Hydrogen poses an opportunity there because it is high energy fuel. It's potentially a key fuel for supporting our transition to a lower carbon economy.
In Aberdeen, it's being used to power buses. The City Council and BP are looking to create a production and storage facility in the Granite City.
Aberdeen Hydrogen Hub is anchored around transport, but absolutely is looking to scale into other industries and also into offtake for things like rail. But there are challenges, having to manage high pressure gas. But in this city here, as Aberdeen is a pioneer.
Experts say there's enormous potential for Scotland to lead the way on generating clean power, but warn that long-term strategies, infrastructure and investment must be in place to combat the challenges we face as we move towards net zero. Hayley Bomma, STV News.
And we'll have more tomorrow.